Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you, dear guests. Welcome to the first for this year joint event of Transmetrics, IBM, and ALSO Group Bulgaria. Last year, we had the pleasure to have our first webinar organized together. And there we have discussed the practical aspects of artificial intelligence for the transport planning. Today, we will continue our exploration of the impact that artificial intelligence brings to logistics, but this time from organizational point of view, or in other words, how logistics organizations and people can benefit from integrating artificial intelligence into their operations. I'm Tonka Kaloyanova-Peneva, and I'm IBM Software Product and European Partner Manager in ALSO Group Bulgaria. And I will be your moderator today. But before I present you our speakers, please let me mention two important things. The first one is that this webinar is recorded and you will get it later together with the presentation deck. And secondly, please don't be shy, ask your questions in the questions area and we will gladly reply to them in the last part of our event. So, without further ado, let me present you our charming speakers today. The first one is Mr. Dimitar Pavlov. Actually, he told me not to say Mr., but I said it. Apologies. He is the head of business development in Transmetrics and has several years of experience in the logistics industry. While Dimitar was studying and working in various countries and blending with different cultures, he developed very strong skills in communications and data analytics, specifically in the transport and logistics area and sector. Prior to joining Transmetrics team, Dimitar was working as an international transport manager in LKW Walter in Vienna, Austria. Our other speaker is Simeon Lazarov, who is leading the IBM Cloud and Data Platform business, in IBM, of course, and has several years of experience in the technology sector, helping organizations across various industries to seize the digital opportunities. Before joining IBM, Simeon was supporting the digital transformation of Microsoft clients in Central and Eastern Europe. Simeon's latest work is an academic research where he explores the drivers for digital transformation and the managerial challenges associated with that. So, gentlemen, welcome on stage.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. Hello, everyone. I'm thrilled to be with you here today. Talk about the AI opportunity in front of the logistics industry. Let me start with this interesting graph that you see on the screen right now. It comes from DHL. It's called the Logistics Trend Radar. Why we decided to show you this graph is because it's relevant, I assume, to everyone present here today, and it's really a nice piece of research of the emerging and not so emerging, but actually very important technologies nowadays for the logistics industry. As you can see on the left side, these are the social and business trends, like the next generation security, omni-channel logistics, fresh chain. All of these are business trends. And on the right side, you'll see the technology trends. If you go right in the middle, you see those that are with the highest impact, and the circles actually represent the relevancy in years, either in the next 5 years or from 5 to 10 years. So let's focus on this little piece of the pie that is technologies with a high impact that are relevant right now. What we see there is actually not so many technologies. We have big data and analytics, Internet of Things, cloud, robotics and automation, and last but not least, artificial intelligence. What this graph shows us is actually that artificial intelligence is not something that is going to be relevant in 5, 10, 15 years, but it's happening right now. It's redefining the segment. And that's why today we would like to tell you how your organization can actually seize that opportunity and how you can operationalize AI in your operations to make your business more effective. With regards to how we adopt artificial intelligence in our organization, I would like to get you acquainted with an approach that we have here at IBM. We call it the AI ladder. For those of you who are interested, you can check it online. We have a book by O'Reilly that you can download for free and get more about the different stages. I will try to summarize it for you. Basically, what does it mean to be on the AI ladder? Of course, everything starts with collecting the data that you have in your organization. Then you need to organize this data, and to make sense out of it, you need to analyze it. Last but not least is the infusion of this data into your daily operations. That is really where many organizations are reaching to, but it's really hard to get to. So how to operationalize AI with trust and transparency? What are we going to show you today is actually how this is feasible with the right ecosystem, because the underlying layer of this ladder is actually the talent and expertise that you need. So in order to start climbing, you need, I would say, investment in people, technology, different bits and pieces to make your strategy complete. But we believe that with the right tools and the right partners, you can step quickly on this ladder and really make AI works for you on a daily basis. That's why we at IBM believe that empowering our ecosystem, our partners, and our clients, we can make this work for the businesses, and in this case, in the logistic business. Throughout the presentation, you hear from our partners, Transmetrics, how actually they use the IBM AI tools to develop a solution that makes it easy for you to get on each of these steps more quickly, and at the end of the day, get the business results that you're aiming for. With that, I'm wrapping up my part. I remain readily available to get any of your questions, and I hope you enjoyed the rest of the presentation. Mitko, to you.
Yeah, thank you, Moni. Indeed, all these steps are very, very important, and I will elaborate on some of them throughout this presentation. So let me start from the basics to get back to logistics. Why logistics is so important? Because basically we rely on everything from our groceries to our Christmas presents to be delivered. Now with the COVID crisis, the importance of logistics is only growing. Like that, also the inefficiencies are growing. What traditionally companies are interested at to get more revenues than their costs are, but they don't see that they could actually minimize their costs with somewhere between 5 to 15% by utilizing AI technologies into their daily operations, and therefore being much more competitive on the market. Something very, very important for the application and adoption of AI algorithms is that there is plenty of data already available. And in terms of data generation, logistics is even ahead of the overall trends. In general, the data that we produce in the next 12 or 18 months will be more in amount than the data generated for the previous, for the past up to date. So in logistics sector, with the adoption of IoT technology, sensor data, telematics, and so on, there will be more and more data to be analyzed, to be utilized, and therefore the AI adoption becomes even easier, I would say, even though more data doesn't necessarily mean easier AI applications. Now, talking about AI adoption, nowadays there are front runners, just 12% of the market, that are utilizing AI technologies and incorporating them into their daily operations in some form, in one form or another. But the projection is that over half of the companies will be using that. The question is when. now when you can actually build a competitive advantage utilizing AI, or later, let's say in 2, 3, 5 years time, when it's very, very late and you're forced to do it. So obviously, the sooner, the better. Talking about adopting AI, there are certain challenges that we have seen consistently appearing throughout our experience. First and foremost, data quality. So the industry operates in relatively bad data quality environment. I have seen data ranging somewhere between very bad to bad. I have never seen good quality logistics data, no matter how good it was still relatively bad. So that's very important thing, because data quality is the foundation. You can apply the smartest algorithms, but if your inputs are crap, then there will be crap at the end as well. Another thing that we have identified as a major challenge is how you actually interact, how you combine the capabilities of the human plus the capabilities of the smart algorithms in order to produce sensible outputs. There are two things related to that. One is, well, how do you take the feedback, the human feedback, and incorporate it into the logic of the AI algorithm? That's very, very important, and obviously it makes the algorithms and their outputs much more sensible. And we had such projects where data was really scarce, and we tried to improve operations simply with AI, but then we could see that nor the AI nor the humans alone were able to improve the operations, but when they combined their capabilities, it was a completely different picture. It was a complete game changer. However, if you want to make humans contribute for the improvements of such AI algorithms and their outputs, you need to make them feel comfortable. You need to make them gain the trust that this is not something that is likely to get their job, but rather it's something that is going to help them do their operations more smoothly, more efficiently, with less stress even, because of this tedious, manual, error-prone, repetitive tasks every day. They could be executed by the computer. Something very important, which is an AI application, but also related to many challenges, is how do you utilize all this data that you have in order to be able to produce highly accurate demand forecasts? How do you predict the future? Think about the COVID crisis. If you want to be able to cope with the demand, you need to know it first, right? And obviously, if you know it the last minute, as for example in the courier business, you can't change much. However, if you know it last week for today or last month for today, it's a completely different story. However, this is a very complex process, and there are lots of challenges behind it. Something also very, very important is that AI alone cannot work. You need to model it in a way that all parameters, if you model complex networks, all network parameters, all network costs, all rules and constraints should be incorporated in order to make real-life optimizations that could be trusted by the planners, and then this is related to their trust. So you need to involve the humans early enough in the process so they can feel comfortable with the tool, and they can supply feedback, they can supply inputs and parameters, and feel this solution as their own solution and try to improve it over time. Obviously, improvements, if I have to elaborate on improving operations, can happen again. First, demand forecasting, and then optimizing on top of it. Predictive optimization, this is how we call it. I wonder, there is a question section on this as part of this webinar. What are your logistics challenges in terms of AI? If you have any experience, what were the pitfalls? What were your problems in utilizing AI technologies or trying to utilize them? So feel free, ask your questions. At certain points, we will stop, or during the Q&A session, we can elaborate on this. Now,
yeah, if I can jump in, Dimitar, with one question. So really, it was a very, how to say, detailed, but in the same time, very structured approach to the AI challenges which you are facing. And I believe that in the next slides, we are going to see what is the vision and what is the approach of Transmetrics and how all that challenges are answered, especially having in mind what you mentioned for the COVID and all these challenges which we are facing recently.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Talking about our vision, we are up for AI. We are an AI platform that really utilizes some of the latest technologies in order to supercharge planning, to help companies automate, optimize many of their processes related to planning. And what is the idea? The idea is that planning is key, right? And now the market is quite distorted because there are large margins because of these distortions and capacity constraints. But traditionally speaking, historically speaking, it's really a razor-thin margins business. So what we are trying to do is really to minimize the cost while improving operations so that we can turn a loss-making operation into a profitable one, or significantly increase the profitability of any logistics operation. Now, how we do that? Well, we do, again, we put the human in the driving seat. So again, it's all about the interaction, something we call augmented intelligence. I actually have a slide on that. We put the interaction between the human and the computer doing all the analytics, utilizing all available data, and the human contributing with their experience, human touch, market or customer knowledge, basically everything that was not yet recorded in the data, and even the ad hoc solutions that human can take, because the algorithms are somehow restricted on parameters, right? They will do whatever you allow them to do. However, you know that the planners are much more flexible, and sometimes, especially during heavy seasons, they would go into ad hoc solutions in order to guarantee highest possible quality to their customers. So this is how we see the interaction, the symbiosis between the human and the AI. And now let me walk you through some of the processes in which we utilize AI algorithms.
Before you continue, Mitko, can I? We have a very interesting question in the questions box. Is it possible to make distribution of goods without or no human interactions? If in which countries and companies has this already adopted? And actually, it is one question consisting of three parts. And how we can start adopting this new technology?
Yeah, well, I am a bit against full automation. It's probably possible to create a full distribution plan that will hold, let's say, 60, 70, 80% of the time. But exception management should be happening by humans. The machines are advanced as far as everything goes as usual. Whereas if you have a disruption, it's much better when you have a human that comes up with a solution on something unexpected. So I really believe in automation. I believe in AI, but I don't believe in AI alone. I still think that there must be, let's say, on every 100 planners today, there should be still 10, 15, 20. I really don't know what the number is, but you get the point. That should be still there, right? And the rest, they can utilize their time, not in the daily planning, but in something much more, in activities that are adding much more value. What these activities are, obviously, they vary throughout the different logistics players, but there's plenty to be done with higher value than the repetitive tasks that they are. It's a matter of survival every day. I have done that in my career, and it's really pity that there are no smart algorithms still in wider adoption that can support organizations in the planning process.
Mitko, if I may add to these thoughts of yours, of course, full automation is something that most businesses want to achieve. I'm sure also there's a place for such automations in particular parts of the logistics industry. But to answer one other question, what is required from organizations to successfully adopt AI for their daily operations? I would say it all starts with the mindset, and that is really a cultural change at first place. And you put it really nicely on this slide that actually we're talking about augmented intelligence at large, combining technology together with the human experience and making this work more efficiently. So basically, yeah, this is what I would like to add to your thoughts. Full automation probably is not always the best scenario because, as you said, AI relies on data. And when there is something that is out of the ordinary, it's really hard to cover that. Of course, you can sometimes try to predict it even with AI, but it really doesn't work always as you would expect. So it's not a magic wand. That's what I want to say. But it's a great tool when you know how to use it.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, just to emphasize, Mitko, apologies for interrupting you. There is one small part of the question remaining in relation to in which countries and companies has this been already adopted, and I believe that later on during your presentation you will point some partners and clients where your solution is already implemented. Yep. So later on, please expect the information.
Indeed, we prepared a list of, or just a couple of our customers that are utilizing AI technologies in various forms. Again, it's not the same thing for everyone, but because there are different modalities, there are different business models and different logistics operations involved. But in general, I can walk you through how it works for all of them. Obviously, in slightly different application, in a slightly different optimization setup, but you'll see a list of them, and I can elaborate also on in which geographies these companies are operating and utilizing our technology before their wider adoption globally, because most of our clients are global players or local heroes, obviously. Now, let's start from the basics. So where do we utilize AI technologies? What applications do we have? Well, AI helps us with data quality improvements. Again, this is key. This is one of the most important things. It's a garbage in, garbage out scenario. So you need to make sure that your data quality is in order. What are the common pitfalls? What are the common problems with data quality? First is missing or incomplete data. And I will give you some simplified examples so you can visualize that in just to better understand it. We've worked with a groupage company, global company in their operations in Germany, and what we realized is that they had recorded historically the weight of their shipments. But the problem is that when you have hundreds, sometimes thousands of shipments, and if we talk about the parcel business, for example, within one loading unit, be it container or ULD or trailer, for example, you never run out of weight. You run out of volume. You run out of loading meters. So we made sure that we created the right algorithms who helped us to get to the volumetric data of each particular shipment, going through millions of records, utilizing all possible information in order to get to the right transformation of weight to volumetric data, which allowed the company to have very detailed KPI utilization monitoring, historically speaking, but also develop these highly accurate demand forecasts and then turn them into loading capacity for the future planning. So this is very, very important. Another important thing is duplicated data. So you know that there are multiple players across the supply chain. There are multiple systems that are being utilized. Often there is duplicated data coming from these different people and systems. So you need to make sure, and we do that with the help of AI, that only the relevant unique data is being utilized without any duplication whatsoever, because obviously they distort the picture. Something very important is the incorrect data. Think of it as fraud detection algorithms that can go through the millions of records, identify what makes sense and what doesn't, and in this what it doesn't, try to correct them. A very, very simple example, think about a pallet that has weight of 100 tons, for example. Obviously, there are way too many zeros over there, but when you have manual data inputs, this is possible. It's the same with shipping addresses, for example. When this is a manual process, it always leads to inconsistencies. And talking about inconsistencies, I go to the next challenge that we tackle with the help of AI in relation to data cleansing and enrichment, is with inconsistent data. I can give you another very, very simple example. If let's say a container or a shipment teleports from location A and 2 weeks later is in location B, obviously, this shipment has left location A. We need to make sure that there is a way to recreate the whole shipment or container or whatever the tracked asset is, the whole life cycle, in order to be able to recreate it, to track it, and to measure efficiency along the way. Then something very, very important, which is gaining importance recently, it's how to deal with unstructured data. Think about all the emails that you get from your clients that tell you more about their projections, tell you about their intentions to book more with you. So this can be utilized as early as possible in the demand planning in order to be more efficient for the future. Another example, we had a client, they stated that a particular data field from their data, a free text field, was useless. But what we have done is we've analyzed anyway the field. We realized that it's a free text field coming through EDI from their clients' ERP systems. And they, these fields, again, we're talking about millions of rows, they were having some very, very valuable information for our purposes. So we created language processing algorithms, natural language processing algorithms that allowed us to extract the useful parts of this free text and then apply them to building the solutions after that. It will be very interesting, again, to get your thoughts on some data quality issues that you have experienced in your organizations. Tony, again, feel free to interrupt me anytime. If we have some relevant questions, we'll be very happy to elaborate on this.
Yes, for sure, Mitko. We do have some questions actually to Moni and to you, but yeah, I can tell the questions now, and eventually you will decide whether it is better to, because maybe you will cover some of these things during your next slides of the presentation. So one is to, so the first one is to you. Do you work only with specific logistics business models, or you can implement Transmetrics in any logistics business?
Well, in general, the core is the same. I will go through the core things that we do later in this presentation. So the modality really doesn't matter. The logistics operations really do not matter. Optimizations are needed everywhere. Most of these optimizations require some sort of predictability as well. They require, obviously, improving data quality before applying the smart algorithms. So it's really not so much related to the modality or the logistics operation. I would say that most of our solutions are applicable to all of them.
Yeah, and here on this slide especially, we see a lot of issues which you are tackling. Is it true that the solution of Transmetrics is covering all that issues? Because I'm asking that because the question which we got is, what are the biggest hurdles of implementing artificial intelligence in logistics apart from the data quality?
Yeah, well, this is just a handful of data quality problems. I'm sure that there are more of them. We have seen more of them. This is just an aggregation of them. And data quality, indeed, is one of the hurdles. Another hurdle is what Moni mentioned, the mindset. So basically, how do I change the mindset of mindset where technology is likely to help us rather than take our job away, right? So this is another hurdle that should be taken into consideration to really make people believe that this is something useful to the everyday planner, from the everyday planner to the highest possible rank in the organization. There must be some involvement from everyone, so they're all convinced that this is something to help them, and therefore they do not sabotage any AI applications and adoption efforts within the organization.
So to sum up at this point, the implementation of artificial intelligence in the logistics and any business does not, keep away the people. Simply, these people will be able to devote their time and intelligence and knowledge to something more valuable for the company.
Indeed, that's the idea. Yeah, and we'll talk about automation later in this presentation. Let me go through the other slides. So we start with data cleansing enrichment. We lay the foundations for follow-up activities. One of them is demand forecasting. How do we do that? Well, first, and that's also applicable to the optimization, we need to understand the customer needs. And in order to understand the customer needs, we would obviously have a bit of back and forth of really lots of discussions prior to starting an actual project. But the idea is that we try then to translate these logistics challenges into mathematical tasks. So then we could pass these mathematical problems to our data science team. Then they, by analyzing the data, by running some exploratory data analysis with the help of AI, they can discover hidden patterns, some unusual things. They may not necessarily be incorrect or inconsistent things. They will make sense probably, but we then get back to the humans, to the planners, and try to understand what happened then. What is very, very important is that we need to link the forecasting modeling to the business process. I'll give you an example of a forecasting exercise we have with shipping lines, for example, with some of the global, also regional and local shipping lines. You need to predict demand for them in order for them to know what will be their capacity utilization. Well, obviously, then you link the demand to the vessel schedule, and then by projecting the demand and knowing what is the vessel allocation, you can measure vessel utilization, and therefore there are different operational or commercial strategies you can follow in order to maximize your, let's say, the profit of your operations. So this is very, very important, linking both the operational process with the forecasting and optimization modeling. Going on, very, very important to ensure high forecasting robustness and accuracy, you need to work with external factors. Think about what happened. Well, it's not even last year now. Think about what was 2 years ago. Let's say March 2 years ago. How does it look compared to March last year or March this year? Nothing in common. So relying too much on historical data is not a good exercise. You need to incorporate external data points that can improve your forecasting accuracy and robustness. Last but not least, you need to allow the humans interact with your forecasting or optimization suggestions, because at the end of the day, they may have some knowledge which is not yet recorded in the data. Therefore, the algorithms are blind for, and to improve their outcomes, you need to allow the humans to interact. So to summarize, what are the key ingredients of a good forecast? Something very simple: capture trends and seasonality. It could be daily, weekly, monthly. For some long-term strategic planning, it could be yearly seasonality. But this is the base, right? You need the base first. Then add to the base external data, things like information on holidays and modeling the impact on these holidays historically on your volumes. Think about special events like Black Friday or Singles Day in China. Things about Forex, for example. Think about Turkish lira. When the Turkish lira collapsed, there was so many exports from Turkey happening that freighters and logistics players, they could barely cope with it. Another example is port or airport data. I will give you something from our portfolio. We had a client that is dealing with road transportation of air cargo shipments. So think about flows between, from, and to airports. Obviously, for them, we would need the flights data, because there is a very high correlation between the flights that land at particular airport with the shipments that they have to transport. Because before the COVID crisis, 50% of all air cargo was going through commercial flights. So you could see the clear correlation there. We would incorporate such, and this is a low-hanging fruit. There are much more complex tasks than that, but this is just for you to understand, to visualize. And then what is very, very important, especially in the today's situation, the COVID situation, and the disruption that it led to the market, you need to have a learning component in all your AI algorithms. If we talk about forecasting, it should be a highly sensitive algorithm that is able to adjust to the new normal. I frequently get the question of, okay, if you have a crystal ball and you can tell me the future, could you predict the COVID crisis? And the answer is obviously no, otherwise we would be billionaires. But the answer to that is related to learning, to the learning component of the algorithms. The last time we had such crisis, such disruption, was 1918 with the Spanish flu. There's no way that we could learn from there to know the impact on that on logistics. there's barely logistics recorded data from that point. But what we could do is, after just several days, the smart algorithms could sense that there is a major disruption. They didn't know it's COVID. They knew it's a disruption. And they could adjust in a couple of days to the new normal. They could adjust their base to the new normal. So regardless of whether it's COVID or something else, they could see and adjust their outputs. This is very, very, very important. Now, let me jump into optimization, right? We went through demand planning. Before that was obviously laying the foundations with data cleansing and enrichment. And now we optimize. How do we optimize? Think about the traditional planning, right? You have a relatively static schedule where there's not there's not too much of change from day to day. However, the demand is fluctuating, and you need to make sure that you align supply and demand. So this is where we come in place. And with the help of IBM Watson running our algorithms we create much more dynamic schedules, much more dynamic planning that is corresponding to the market fluctuations. Obviously, you cannot replan, reschedule from day to day, completely regroup your planning. But what you need some sort of a backbone schedule that is corresponding to, let's say, your 60, 70, 80% of your volumes, depending on your risk aversion. But for the remaining 20, 30, 40, you have the flexibility. You can be dynamic. And that's the idea here, to really squeeze this 5 to 15 percentage points of optimization potential that you still have, and still be able to satisfy 100% of your demand. And from the logistics optimization, I will jump into automation, continuing with the traditional planning, logistics planning today. So you have a planner that normally works in some sort of a TMS system. Normally it's a TMS or logistics ERP, or however you call it. And then there are several disintegrated and manual processes that happen normally in a spreadsheet, where we have the data analytics, let's say measuring historical performance, and some sort of, in some cases, Excel-based predictions of what is expected tomorrow. This is based on commercial forecasts, which are notoriously bad in their accuracy. Based on this tool, you have the capacity estimation, which again happens manually in a spreadsheet. And you have some sort of occasional network analytics exercises that allow you to see some inefficiencies, bottlenecks across the network, and stuff like that. So then, based on all these various exercises, you have the planning that is given for execution. Now, what our value proposition is that we automate, with the help of AI, all these manual and disintegrated processes into a single platform that allows you, with just a handful of clicks, to get your planning done. Your planning is being suggested to the planner. Again, the planner is in the driving seat and can either approve or slightly modify the plan, the final plan, and give it for execution. Now, to summarize, to visualize to you how our partnership with IBM works, let's put it that way. We have a customer environment. What's the overall process? We have a customer environment from where we have an automated way to get predefined sets of data. These sets of data land into an AI module that significantly improves data quality, which is important for two major reasons. One is you can have a very detailed and precise KPI monitoring for the historical efficiency, but also you can then have follow-up AI applications like demand forecasting or tailored optimizations. Well, the optimizations, to make sure that there is no logistics task too complex to solve, we will team up with IBM Watson. We will run our algorithms in the IBM Watson infrastructure to make sure that there are no performance issues whatsoever, and any output could be accepted, or could be actually sent back to the customer in a matter of minutes. And this is one way to get our outputs. They could be either fed back to the customer environment and they could be visualized the way they want, or they could be visualized in our web-based application, where you can just log in through your web browser and get all the outputs from our system. So to sum up, This is what Transmetrics is all about. So it's a centralized platform, AI platform, that allows you to analyze by obviously improving data quality significantly with the help of AI, plan in an automated manner, but also plan based on demand forecasting and by modeling the network with all its parameters and costs in an optimized manner. So at the end of the day, you have all your planning in the most efficient way, aligned with the supply, with the demand that is expected, and this allows you to do some further analytics and to plan more efficiently. Now, to give you a example of an AI application that we had with a company from the DPD group, one of their countries. So we've created this an automated line haul planning tool that predicts demand and optimize and suggests how to run the line haul network. And we have achieved significant results by using our system since 2016 for their daily planning. Our customer could generate 8% savings of their total transportation costs, which was a huge amount of money at the end of the day. They could improve significantly their capacity utilization. Currently, they're with over 90% capacity utilization, despite the growth and obviously adding additional vehicles consistently. But what was very, very important, and it was actually a side effect, we did not expect it back then in 2016, that our AI applications, they exposed lots of hidden inefficiencies, lots of bottlenecks that brought a big transparency in the overall picture. So because when you have hundreds of trucks per day, obviously you can't see stuff, right? And the help of such system is that it can give you the transparency and the ability to have really a data-driven decision-making that allows you to be very, very efficient. And that's just an example. On the next slide, and there was this question about the geographies and the types of companies, the modalities that we can work with. You can see some of our clients here. For them, we could see a consistent optimization saving of between 5 to 15% of their transportation cost. So they are coming from different angles of the supply chain, but all of them are unified in their trust in AI, because they can see already the benefits generated by utilizing and adopting AI. And talking about adoption and the wider spread of AI, this is also what seems to be the aim of the European Commission as well. So as part of the Horizon 2020 program, we were granted nearly 2 million euro of investment in our research and development activities to further improve our AI applications and to further spread them across the different supply chain players. So I will stop here. I want to thank you for your attention. If you have any questions or you would like to discuss in detail your challenges and how this could be met with the help of AI, feel free to send me an email at dimitar.pavlov@transmetrics.com. And yeah, look forward for your questions.
Thank you very much, Dimitar and Simeon, for this really extremely interesting discussion. We do have some questions here, because the last slide which Dimitar showed us was with the references with the customers, and we have a very nice question here. When exactly can the companies start experiencing the benefits of the artificial intelligence solutions? Are we talking about weeks or months or years? So what is the time frame until these nice results are felt by the companies using the Transmetrics solution?
Yeah, normally it's a matter of months. It's a couple of months, between 2 and 4 months. A proper POC, a proof of concept could be executed, so companies can really see what is the potential of AI applications and what the potential cost savings that would bring. And it's not only cost savings. Again, it's a lot of transparency being brought to the operation. It's also about improving the service levels and the planning process, automating many of the activities. So it's a matter of months. It's a matter of couple of months, around 3 months on average, that the benefits of AI could be already proven to any logistics operation.
Thank you very much, Dimitar. We have, we have lots of questions, so be prepared. A very interesting question again. If a customer suddenly denies a product delivered to him, and there is another customer which is very near to that geographical location, and he needs the same product, do we have any technology that can visualize this so that we don't get business loss as well as the customer is satisfied as well? It's a complicated question. Scenario.
Yeah, can you repeat the first part?
Yeah, so if one customer denies a product which is already delivered to him, but there is another one who is near geographically and wants to take it, the same one.
Yeah.
Is there any technology that can visualize this so that we don't get business loss and we have customer satisfied?
Well, look, AI is you saw a lot of technologies on the digital trend radar that are supplementary to each other. Such thing would be, for example, IoT tracking devices, where you see where your data is. You also get some sort of automation in terms of communicating with your customers. So these all are supplementary to having better AI outputs in the end of the day. Obviously, location tracking is very, very important. If we have the location, if we have fast enough a communication channel, of data exchange channel, let's put it that way, there is obviously a way to redistribute flows. And this is part of our, for example, career planning tool, where you really change the game while the game is being played by taking the new information into account. So it's a machine learning loop where the more information you get, the slightly more, the incrementally different your outputs are.
Thank you very much. We have a couple of questions which are correlated one to each other. The first one is, just a second, because there are a lot indeed. How do we meet rapidly changing demands on customers, and how COVID has impacted logistics at a global level? How the customer demands have changed?
Well, that's an interesting topic, because when you think about when COVID first hit, let's say in March, February, March 2020, there was a sudden drop in the amount of any shipments. Probably only air cargo was booming because of PPE, personal protection equipment volumes growing. But then in aftermath, so basically there were winners and losers. But in general, now when I see a year and a program currently.
Yeah, we are live, so we all can experience these connection problems. Amoni, in the meantime, there was a very nice question to you, and so we can use this technical gap just to ask you about that. The question is the following. What is required from the organizations to successfully adopt artificial intelligence for their daily operations? And do they need, in your experience, to also hire somebody brand new for the organization in order to manage that?
Yeah. I think we can combine it, with one other question that I see here. Whether you need to introduce some new department in your organization, or a dedicated person who will be managing AI. I would say, from my experience, that actually this is not necessary for let's say for the common use cases. Actually, by adapting AI technology, the idea is to have less work and not more. So that's why I said in the beginning, when I was showing this AI ladder, that without having the right partners, it is absolutely crucial that you have the talent within your organization, the right setup, the right people with the right skills to drive this. But if you go with the right partner, like what we have here in the face of Transmetrics, you'll be able to adapt the technology within your organization without dedicating more resources on top, but rather make your resources more efficient. So I hope this answers the questions. And back to the initial one, what is required? I would say it's really the first place is culture. How you're going to see things. Are you going to see the things I think we mentioned it. This is going to impact our business. We'll need to invest more, or vice versa. It will impact people, and it will actually lead to some unemployment. I would say both scenarios are not what we typically see. What we typically see is something that we refer to as augmented reality, making the current setup of your organization more efficient with the right technology stack and the right partnership.
Thank you, Moni. Mitko, until you reconnected, we actually spent the time to have Moni and his opinion about the adoption and the necessity of hiring, if yes or no, new people to manage these artificial intelligence innovations in the solutions and the organizations.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sorry for the technical problem. Well, I think it's a matter of mindset. So you don't necessarily need new people. You need people with a new mindset, right? You need to change this mindset. It could be through training. It could be through any other means. Obviously, the existing people are very, very important for you because they know your operations from bottom to the top. But you need to make them believe in the AI the way that we believe in AI. They need to recognize AI as something helpful for them, not as a threat that can take possibly their means of living out of their hands.
Yeah, and I can also add from my experience that all these people who are here on this very interesting webinar and event, I would really recommend them to connect with Mitko and Transmetrics team and just to have a demo on the solution. And you will be able to see how user-friendly their solution is, because I've seen that. I'm not a technical person, but I can recognize the value of this solution. So you will get a personal experience from after you see the demo of their solution. What type of people do you need? What type of culture you need to build in your organization, and how the people should start thinking about this innovation. For sure, it's not an enemy. It's definitely a friend.
Yeah, indeed. We have some very interesting experiences with some very old school organizations adopting our solution, where you could see how they changed their mindset, right? They were used to surviving every day, doing their planning with because the information was coming last minute, and therefore they were not ready for the changes last minute. Every day was something that, oops, I think my internet is getting bad again. But the idea is it's very nice to see this mind-changing exercise where they start being in the battle anymore and think strategically, because now that they have overview of the upcoming demand, for example, they can foresee what is going to happen next week or next month, and you can see the change in the mindset from surviving every day to strategically positioning myself in order to leverage my knowledge and together with my experience, obviously, and to be much more efficient in my daily planning.
Yeah, I can absolutely confirm that I have seen it in other industries as well. So I assume it applies for logistics, where you have long-time players with really fixed mindset, and you really need to adapt this what they call it a growth mindset in order to open ways for this one. But absolutely. And if you need some more references of consultancy, reach out to Transmetrics team, reach out to me, and we'll be able also to guide you in that particular area.
Yeah, and just one final comment on my side. So the solution which Transmetrics is using the IBM solution which they are using is in the first quadrant of Gartner for data and AI. So this blended with the really unique experience of Transmetrics. I don't say that just to flatter them, but it's really a very, very unique their solution, because you have to be very brave and very smart in order to develop a solution which is based on this simplex machine learning. Believe me, it is much more than mathematics, than quantitative analysis and whatever. So these guys are really great. Yeah. So go get in contact with them, see the demo of their solution by your eyes, and you will see the benefits. I can assure you there are a lot.
Yeah, I definitely support that. IBM is really proud to partner with organizations with such a deep industry knowledge like Transmetrics, so they can use our technologies to build tools for you and for your business. So maybe a final remark from my side: do try to take advantage, because if you don't, you'll be in jeopardy in the next 5 years. Your business will be in jeopardy. Back to what we see in the first slides with that DHL study on the tech radar in the logistic industry. Obviously, it's here. It's not coming. It's here. So you better seize that opportunity than just watching the show. This is my final remark. And yeah, with that, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to have this great discussion today. And I hope with some of you that are listening today or listening the recording, we'll have another opportunity to meet.
Thank you very much.
I totally agree. It's a matter of time. So basically, you're either in the fourth running seed or AI in 2, 3, 4 years time. So get yourself together, hurry up, because this is really a game-changing technology. And the sooner you do it, the sooner you develop a competitive advantage and bring this level of efficiency, high level of efficiency, I would say, into your daily operations. So be brave, think big, and adopt AI. This is my final remark. Thank you very much for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mitko. And just one final remark on my side. Thank you first, everybody who spent this 1 hour with us. I hope you had interesting times with us. For us, it was a very pleasant journey during this 1 hour with all the ups and downs which we had from the technological point of view. And please, again, do connect with Transmetrics, because this is just the beginning for them. They have a very ambitious roadmap for developing their solution, and you just see this 20% of the iceberg which we highlighted today. So really enjoy your time, enjoy your summer, be healthy, and I hope that we'll see each other very soon again. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.